Hi, everybody. By the time everyone is watching this video, you will know that this is the update for the month of November. And in the month of November is my birthday. So this video should publish on November 24th, which is my actual birthday. So if I haven't seen you guys in the comments or in the chat, please wish me a happy birthday. Because today, technically, by the time everybody sees this video, will be my actual birthday. So thank you for all the birthday wishes for those of you who have sent me messages in advance. But this video is not going to be talking solely about my birthday. We're going to talk about what we're doing in the month of November for our garden. So in November is when my zone is experiencing probably the first frost of the year. So you'll see me start to set up my hoop houses and the coverage for the plants. You may see me unbox or do some things in the garden in terms of preparing for winter, putting out some last plants, maybe a little bit of harvest. And one big addition to the channel is going to be talking a lot about hydroponic system, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the hydroponic system to make some seedlings to also put out in the garden, because even after the first frost, I do believe that I'm going to be able to get some more plants out in the garden as long as the plants are established enough to handle being transplanted out in the cold, so long as I harden them off properly. So enjoy the video, and I hope you learned something. And if you have any ideas in the chat of something that I could perhaps do better, or any ideas or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section. So let's get going and let's grow big, and happy growing, everybody. One of the great things about November is you get to harvest a lot of your fall greens. And I put these, they started them from seed. And because I know we're getting some cold weather coming up, I do want to thin out my mustard greens a little bit. I'm going to cook a little dinner tonight, and they're in here very thick. And I feel like I have some that the leaves are big enough that I could just go ahead and start harvesting. But what I'm also noticing is I've got something in here that's kind of like eating some of them. So I'm just going to trim those out and see what's on them. So this is one of the smaller ones that something's eating all. But let me come in here and get some of these bigger leaves for dinner tonight. I'm using my shears because I don't want to start pulling the plants out, getting some of the bigger leaves. They're about the size of my hand. So if I go in here, just start trimming them out. I'm going to use the cut and come again method here so that I can harvest hopefully all winter long. Cut a few of them at a time here, the bigger leaves on the outside, and I'll go in and I'll soak them in some salt water, maybe some vinegar, so something is having its way with that one. This is the whole plant on this side, something is having its way with. So let me just cut out a few of these leaves. Maybe I can take a look to see take a look on these leaves to see what's in the back. Grab the bigger leaves, and we know that leafy vegetables are good for you, and I'm just very excited to be harvesting these turnips. Um, in case I haven't mentioned it yet, which I'm pretty sure I have mentioned it, and I'll probably be mentioning it throughout the entire video, November is my birthday month. So all things November harvest included, I get really excited about. And today I'm just really excited about trimming out these mustard greens. I love mustard greens. I love collard greens. So these are the Tokyo Bacana mustard greens. They're very light in color. There are different types of mustard greens that I planted in the garden, but this is just the one that I planted out first that looks extremely beautiful. These leaves are just amazing. And let me just finish harvesting these, and this will be part of my November chores of what I'm doing out in my garden. Um, so let me get going. Let me get this together so I can go inside and wash them up, and we can have some greens with some dinner tonight.
I'm harvesting Tokyo Bacana, a mild Asian mustard green that's packed with vitamins A, C, and K, plus calcium and antioxidants. These tender leaves are incredible and versatile. Toss them in fresh salads, add to stir fries, or use them in soups and sandwiches. They have a subtle, peppery flavor that's milder than regular mustard greens. I'm using the cut and come again method, harvesting just the outer leaves while leaving the center intact. This means the plant keeps growing and producing fresh greens for weeks, giving us multiple harvests from one single plant or multiple plants. It's efficient, reduces waste, and assures you always have fresh greens on hand throughout the season.
Here's a brief preview of what we have in the pots. You can see that things are growing. The Swiss chard looks a tiny bit better, but I'm going to spray it because something is eating it. So if anybody can tell me in the comments, it looks like leaf miners are getting to the Swiss chard. Anybody can tell me what to put on it to stop it, please let me know. The giant red mustards, they're looking very good. That pot back there has pak choi. It's not looking so good, but I'm hoping that once I spray it with some stuff, it'll look better. Collard greens are showing out in the pots here. I love it. I'm waiting for the first frost so that I can go ahead and start harvesting the bigger greens. Over here we have the cabbages. There are two cabbages in this pot. I'm a little hesitant to remove them. I'm just going to let it go and see how it grows. And then we have a cabbage here, a broccoli that's looking better, and beets. So the beets may not make beets, but I'm just going to let it go. Today, I completely dished through this soil and added some fertilizer to it and then added some carrot seeds. So I watched the video. Somebody said that you should wet the soil before you plant the seeds. So what I did was I planted the seeds before I wet the soil, but so that the carrot seeds don't go down in the soil, I simply did a heavy mist so that it wouldn't push the seeds down, and then I covered it with chicken wire and I put something over it to keep the squirrels out. On this side of the garden in November, you see that the radishes are actually getting fairly big. I was able to pick a few of these radishes. If I come in here and I move the leaves around, you'll see that they're coming up and they're showing themselves. So I'm pretty happy about that. We have some different radishes over on the side here. You can see that I finally took the advice of a few of my viewers and I covered the ground with chicken wire for where I planted the spinach, giant red mustards, and then I also have, as you can see here, a row of some mustard greens. I want to say that I planted these about a couple weeks ago, so maybe 2 weeks ago. The spinach is coming up very slowly, as you can see, very, very slowly. Here's a little bit of what the spinach looks like, and then the giant red mustards are coming up and they look great. I have some weeds down in there that I'll eventually pull this chicken wire up and see. Over here we have this jalapeno bush. It will also come up eventually, maybe within the next day or two. The weather is very cold. It's dropping down in the 30s at night. So if you look into the actual peppers themselves, they're turning a bit purple because they don't like the cold weather. Purple here, purple here. I was waiting to see if they would cork at all. Some have corked, so they're ready to come right off. So we'll have a little bit more jalapenos for the rest of the winter. Here, I came home from a conference last weekend, and all of this soil here was disheveled, pulled up. I had this cardboard here on top of it, but the squirrels pulled up the cardboard and they just pretty much had a field day digging and planting acorns in this part. So I don't think any of the carrots are going to come up. There are very few. So if you look here, there's a carrot that decided it wanted to try to come up, but the rest have been either buried or disheveled in this soil. So no carrots here. I'm probably going to plant some different seeds here and just put the chicken wire on top. And then here's the cabbage that we put down. We moved it from a pot to over here, but it's been infested with aphids. So I'm going to spray it with some homemade soap and mint oil and some other stuff that someone told me to put. So we'll see. But you'll see here, I also put the hoops and I have the winter cloth that we're going to put here. I've already started picking some of these Bikana Tokyo mustard greens here. They were delicious. And I'm also going to put leaves here, mulch it all around the garden. So I'll also have leaf mulch all on this side as well. And on this side, you can see that I've already started raking part of the leaves here. We do have a device that will shred them for me, but I don't think it's needed for this one because I'm going to just rake the whole yard for the most part. So there are leaves everywhere. Even under the trampoline, I'm going to try to grab and mulch. I might even rip up the paper, the cardboard here and put that down so that I have mulch for the garden. And that's just part of what we have in the beginning month of November. Part of what I'm going to do is winterize the garden. So you'll see on this side, I have the garlic, the greens, all coming up pretty good. This morning, I was able to put the hoops here. You see the hoops out in the garden. What I'm going to do is rake up the leaves around the yard, put some mulch down, and prepare the cloth to go around the different hoops that I have here. So where there's empty space, I'm going to mulch with leaves so that when the frost comes, I have protection. The leaves will essentially keep the moisture in the ground longer and hopefully some of the heat as well in the event I want to toss some seeds down with it, but I'll probably not do that. And here's what the greens look like in the beginning of November. They look very good. They're going to grow very good. And we have the hoops down here. So that's just part of what I'm doing to weatherize and winterize, or however you want to say it, for the month of November in the garden. You'll see here there are a bit of pepper vines, limbs, whatever you want to call them, out in the yard. I'm going to cut them up and put them in my compost bin. And that's essentially because what I've been doing is pulling out the pepper plants because they're not going to survive the frost that we have upcoming. And if we go right inside, you'll see that I do have some that are still viable. So you'll see that the Carolina Reaper is still viable, but we had some strong winds and it kind of almost knocked the bush over. So essentially what I did was I propped it up with a crate here. In a couple days, I'm going to come pull this one out completely, and there will be a separate video on how I'm going to overwinter this Carolina Reaper plant. The main reason why I overwinter Carolina Reaper plants are because I make hot sauce with it. So anything that I use and I make seasonal sauces for, I'm going to essentially try to overwinter those plants in particular so that I can start production of the sauces a lot earlier. So you'll see back here, I completely pulled out a pepper plant here during one of my live streams. And what I did was I had some seedlings that I had planted in pots here, but I want to see if they're going to survive. So I want to give them a chance, and I kind of put them out in the garden with the labels. I'm going to do more of the same in the middle part. So in the middle part, when we pull out this last pepper here, we'll put more seeds in there. And then there are also pepper plants in the back that are eventually going to come out, 2 of which are going to overwinter. But I want to give these peppers right here a chance to grow, get red, because they're fairly big. So it's 1, 2, then I have a third one here that's purpling because of the weather. So that's a little bit about what's in the greenhouse enclosure. And then I have the purple basil down there that I'm going to pull out, try to put it in water so I can propagate it so that I can have something for the winter months on the inside. But I'm also growing it in hydroponics. So like I said, I have the French breakfast radishes, daikon radishes, and then turnip greens over here. So you would have noticed from any previous videos how small they were. I planted them from seeds and they're looking very good. So what I'm doing here is I ordered the hoop houses, and the hoops are actually out in the garden. So the next thing to do here would be to measure out how big or not big this garden cover cloth is. And this is a 10 by 33 or something like that. So I'm essentially folding it out in the yard, spreading it out. I separated the hoops into 2 different sections. So one section over here and one section over there. I'm going to split the cloth. Hopefully it's enough to cover both areas. But now I'm just going to go in and cut and go ahead and separate it into 2 different sides of the yard where I have the hoops to make sure that I have winter coverage for when it snows and things of that nature. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it straight across all the way and put it into different sections that it has to go into, carefully cutting to make sure it's equal. The good thing about this particular garden cover is it's breathable, it's cloth, it should withstand a lot of the weather as it gets cold, meaning snow and frost. So it's essentially a frost cover for the plants in the garden. And now that I have them, I could go ahead and start putting them around the different places in the garden, one on this side, one on that side. And I don't have to cover it right now because today is a very nice day, but I will go ahead and put it in its section. So all I have to do is fold it over and then clip it down. So I'm gonna record myself or show you how I'm gonna put this garden cloth over the hoops on each side, or at least one side, so you'll see what I'm doing. And then that way, whenever the snow and the frost does come, all I have to do is fold it down and clip it to the different hoops, and bam, winter coverage, winter protection, and let's go with some winter planning. So it is going to be one of the first freezing nights of this gardening winter season. So what I've been doing in the garden is I did set up the frost cloths to go over. So today what I'm going to do is put on the frost cloth for this first freeze overnight. It's going to be a cold couple days, so I want to protect the plants. I'm not sure that they're up the size that they can be without, dying, just due to it being cold. So it's kind of late in the day. It's very, very chilly out here. So let me just get to covering these plants here. Um, it rained overnight, so I'm not too worried about but it's very, very wet, and I see like water pouring from the cloth here. Saturday, what I did was I came in and I completely secured it on one side, so all I have to do is pull it over, and all I have to do now is clip it and secure it on this side so that the wind doesn't get in, and then maybe put a rock on one side for both sides of the planter. And then I'm going to take the frost cloth that I have on the inside and cut it so I can put it inside the enclosure. So let me get going, and then I'll show you what the finished product looks like after I have completely secured my greens for the winter. And I may even go in and put in a coat because it's very, very cold out here already today. So we're going to cover up these fall greens. I'm not sure that the peppers are gonna make it overnight, but we're gonna just see what happens. And this is some of the things that we do in November to protect our plants for this gardening season. So I have managed to get both hoop houses down. One is maybe a little bit more secure than the other. And I do have the blanket to just and sheets to just spread over some of this stuff. But for now, I'm getting very cold. I'm gonna hurry up and finish this up. But I just want to show you a little bit of what the hoop houses look like so far. I'll reinforce it in a day or two, so I'm hoping that my plants can um, survive through the night so that we can not have to start over. They're standing up very strong today. I think some of the plants are big enough to survive the frost because it's going to be very, very mild, and we may not have to protect all of them. But what I'm kind of worried about are the seedlings that I have here, the sprouts that have just come up. So I'm just going to simply spread a blanket over those, and then not so much worry about the plants that are established. And I'm also going to cover up the green stalks with the covers that I have for those because I have quite a bit of sprouted seedlings or sprouts in the green stalk. So let me just show you where we are so far on this first freezing night in November, so that everyone can see some of the things that we do to make sure we protect our plants whenever the cold starts to come in. So here we go. Here is what we are protecting so far. Hopefully the frost won't do too much damage tonight because I wasn't able to really secure parts of the garden. Some parts will be covered, so you'll see in here I haven't covered it all. We'll remediate that, so hopefully, Lord willing, none of that will be damaged. I fully expect the pepper plants on the inside to not be doing as well. Even over on this side, We protected. It looks a bit more secure on this side of the garden. And then as we come out, we'll see that on this side of the garden, I didn't cover these greens at all. I'm not sure how they'll do, but I'm hoping that they'll do pretty good overnight. Um, I'll check on them first thing in the morning. And more importantly than anything else is that we covered the green stalks where the seedlings are. So that's the job that we have done for today, right before the first frost of the fall winter season. One of the great things about fall and winter gardening is you get to start to do some things indoors that you probably or may not have done before. So here you'll see my hydroponics that I've set up. I started this, I want to say, around one of the last weeks of last month, and look how big the plants have gotten. So I'll zoom in so you can see it. So there's a pak choi, some tatsoi, a basil in there, and they're growing very big. And in the coming days, I'm going to transplant them from this particular system and put them in pots and eventually start to harden them off for the actual garden themselves. And then we'll restart and do some more plants, mainly cabbages, for the remainder of the gardening season because I don't have many cabbages out in the garden itself. So we are coming out after the first frost of the year, and you can see we have the green stalks covered. I'll uncover those last, but I already took off the white garden winter cover here just because I wanted to see what the little seedlings look like, and they look just fine. So we're doing good. They did okay. Some of the spinach, maybe not so much. See there? But it's okay. The ground is very frosty. I see little crystals. The jalapeno pepper made it. And next thing I'm going to do is just uncover all these plants today so they can get some of this glorious sunlight here. Even the beets did pretty good. I look in here where I planted some little seedlings. They did good. The radishes and turnips did good. I actually see some turnips peeping out of the ground there if you can see it. So all in all, did great. I come around here and I open up the enclosure. The bell peppers still on there. Still look great here. See the bell peppers here? They survived through the night. And so did the habanero and scotch bonnet back there. And the ghost pepper. So the few things that I didn't cover yesterday seem to be okay. And this held up pretty good, which I'm pretty impressed about. So let me just uncover this really quick. And then I have to go in and get dressed for work. But I'm just very happy that things um, didn't blow away. It was a test. So here we go. It's cold out here this morning. Take these clips off. And these come up very easily. I'm going to put them in here so that I don't lose them. I think I have one on that end. So, man, it's cold out here. Voila. They did very well. Fold it back. We're in business. We know the frost cover works. I have to do something on this side to make sure this doesn't bend down. So maybe I just need to secure it and replace it. And they get some glorious sun for the day. Now I'm going to come over and uncover the other side. This side wasn't as secure, so I did a little jimmying last night over here. Wow, the cloth is frozen to the rock here. Pull this up. And I also have the clips on this side. Those in my pocket. Oh, My mustards look good. Let's take a look. See what it looks like on this side. Everything looks great, including the Brussels sprouts. So, do I have a clip? Everything looks amazing. And what I'm going to do is on this side, I'm going to put more hoops because I did order more hoops. And I may even change it out so that I can have more on this side to make it a little bit more sturdy. But for now, we uncovered this and we are good to go. And last but certainly not least, let's check out what happened with the covers from the green stalk. All right. And these plants look good as well. Bam. Okay, let me just check it out. All right, everything looks great. Okay, check out these seedlings. Everything looks great. So, we did a good job.
One thing that I would like for everyone to notice is that although I have pepper plants that I have yet to pull out of the garden, I also made it my business to pull some of the pepper plants out that I want to use over next year. By using this method of overwintering, my hope is that with these peppers in particular, I get a head start on any of the harvest that I have for next year. And this will allow me to start doing some of the things earlier than what I did this year because these were bought as seedlings. But as long as I keep these mulched, barely watered, and at a stable temperature, they will be able to last all winter long. I may move them to the garage, but for now I just have them on the sun porch because they'll still get the proper amount of heat needed without being too cold. I made sure that I put shredded leaf mulch in there and the labels, and you'll see that I have trimmed all the leaves down, harvested all the fruits on them. I left the nodules here and here so that whenever it does start to grow back, the leaves will just come right out on these. And if you look closely in at this one has started getting leaves already because it's been kind of warm on the sun porch. So I'll make sure I take these leaves off so that I don't want to spark any growth on any of these pepper plants. And I have about 2 more left to get, making it a total of, because I have another one in the garage, I have a total of about 6 pepper plants that I won't have to start over next year. And if any of them die, I can say that I already have several things of seeds that I harvested from the actual pepper plants themselves. So I'll be a-okay for next season already.
So that pretty much wraps up what I'm going to show you so far, what I've done in the month of November. I have to be very diligent and show my other half what to do in the garden because I am going on a slight vacation for, of course, my birthday. So I'm going to do a few more things in the garden and you'll see some updates coming out along the channel. So make sure you're subscribed, you hit the bell icon, and that you hit some thumbs up on a lot of the content here. As I said earlier, by the time you see this video, it'll be on my actual birthday. So make sure you drop some likes and comments. And that'll be all we have for now. What I wanted to do is just make sure I can get through the first frost and freeze so that I could show my husband what to do while I'm away, just in case it freezes while I'm away. A few things that we're going to continue to do this month are harvesting, doing more hydroponics because I did get a second system so far, and just doing some garden maintenance and winterizing. So the winterizing might look a little different by the time You see it after the video. We're going to try to overwinter some peppers and maybe even instead of the hoop houses, put some PVC pipe out in the yard. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the content. Farmer Chad signing out on my actual birthday. So happy birthday to me, and I'll see you guys along the way. Happy gardening and happy growing.